This moment that you're experiencing right now is unique, never experienced before, and never to be experienced again.
Hey, how you doing? I just kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about Float VR. I want to get your insights on Float. Just want to dig a little bit deeper so I can, let everybody know about you, your company, and everything. So, first of all, tell me your name and, tell me a little bit about Float.
Yeah, so my name is Doran, and my background is in animation, actually. Been an animation director and storyboard artist for many years. And Float comes from a combination of my love for VR for many years and my love for walking, just as a recreational thing, as a way to keep my sanity. And at some point, I had this weird idea that, hey, we could do something that is like a walk, like taking a walk, but it's the park that you're walking in is kind of weird and it changes every time, so you always have a new and fresh experience, even though it's sort of familiar, but it's new.
Right.
Yeah, we started doing that, and all of a sudden people started telling us, hey, you know what, this is really helping me. This is really helping my ADHD and my brain loops and all of that. And this is where it kind of came from.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, how long did it take you to actually make Float?
We're still making Float, and we're continuing to make it and, make it better and better all the time. It took, the first step, I think, was like half a year or something like that. It wasn't too long. But then we added more layers of customization, and now we're adding what we call gamification. It's not really gamification, but basically letting you know, kind of with streaks, kind of helping you stay on track and do it every day. We believe that it's much better to do it for a little bit every day rather than, like once a week for half an hour or an hour.
Right.
So we want to help our users do that. And so we're adding a new content all the time. And, the roadmap is like years into the future. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're at the beginning.
Yeah, we're at the beginning, but it's, it's like we're at the beginning in the way that it's already helping many people out there. So it's not like the beginning where we're figuring it out. We have figured it out, but there's so much more to come.
All right. Okay. Why VR?
Why VR? Well, many different reasons, but for Float, first of all, it works. I would say if it could have been done just on a screen, we would have done that, and to some extent it can. But the immersiveness of it is extremely important. In VR, you're not watching. Like, that's the difference that I think many people actually kind of miss, especially people who haven't tried VR for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You're not watching VR. You're not playing VR. You are in a place, right?
Right.
And so part of the reason Float was even made, so I said walking and I said VR, but the other one is, the other source of inspiration was actually Pistol Whip, one of my one of my beloved games in VR, and it's done so well, and the music is so great, and the visual style is so awesome. And but I was like, can't I just be here? I don't want to shoot anybody for, just for now, I just want to be here, And I was like, why can't I just be here? And so that kind of where was another source of inspiration, because in VR, and that's the answer to your question, VR is the one medium that we have where it's fun to just be, right? And that's our kind of thing that we do in Float. This is our main kind of motto. We allow you to just be. Everybody wants to tell you what to do all the time. When you're at work, you get told what to do. When you play a game, like do this, do this, do this. And then even when you want to meditate and relax, they go, like, okay, breathe this way, think of that, don't think of that. We want to, for once, let you just be.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. You're right. Even when you go home, they tell you what to do. Oh, that's crazy. So what is the challenges you find trying to get an app like on the platform?
Interesting question. I think, first of all, I would actually I want to start with the other, like with the flip side of that question.
Okay.
I think that it's the system that they've created is actually pretty cool at this point. Things kind of just work. We put something in the app lab. It's not even in the store. You can send somebody a link. They click it. It appears in their headset. And I think it's actually quite robust. And we haven't had that many problems. Even 2 years ago, it was already quite cool. I think they had for a long time the store was a bit of a closed garden,
right?
And we did have some conversations with them on how what would need to happen for us to get into the store. But it seems that at this point they're pretty much merging App Lab with the store, and so I think that hurdle is also kind of getting solved. There are little things. App Lab doesn't have subscription mechanism, so we had to figure out how to do that because Float is a subscription-based thing. By the way, a freemium thing. So you can. We can touch on that a bit later, but we want you to be able to use it forever just on free if you don't want the premium features. So but it is a subscription thing if you do. So yeah, that was like but again, it feels like it's all getting solved right now with that they call it Quest OS, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The Meta OS.
Yeah.
Horizon OS. That's what it's called. Horizon OS.
Horizon OS. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Horizon OS. Yeah, it's cool to a lot of people look at, find ways, I should say, to relax and meditate and just need that safe space to go to. So it seems like Float is that type of place where you can go to. Just, I just did the video of working, and I was working in Float, and just being in that environment, just letting things go past me, hearing the music, and just being able to transport myself to a different place as I'm working. It just builds your productivity. So is that the type of feeling you wanted for everybody to have?
Yeah, I have to admit that working in Float wasn't something we really imagined until Nathan actually came in and said, "Hey, this is great." And then I tried it as well, and it is great. What Float does that nothing else does is allow you to actually move in an environment, so things change around you, and it's infinite. So anything else, you have meditation programs out there, but you have first of all, you have to operate them all the time.
All right.
And the other thing is that they want to talk to you, and then they end after 5 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever it is. In Float, you can just be for as long as you want. So you want to work for an hour in this moving landscape, you can do that. So that's actually a great use case that we haven't imagined.
Right.
And it's fun when your users start hacking your product, right? That's when you know you got something, right?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we really want to for people to just have a place to kind of go, and whatever they do, whatever they have to think, they need to think about between themselves, them and themselves that way. Just give them a place to be for it, because otherwise, right now I'm sitting in this room right here, and I have these, all these things that I need to do. I have some letters here. I have some, like an old cup of coffee and this, and it's like, it just takes away some of your psyche. So if you can be in a place that's completely neutral, doesn't have any stress cues or anything that goes, I need to do this, I need to do that, that's really valuable. And then the other part of it is that we realized very early on that people can, because it's such a great place to be in the here and now and in this mindful state of mind and different mindfulness state of minds, we realized, wait a second, therapists can actually really use this thing. So
Right.
very early on, we started working with therapists. And now we have therapists working, basically doing therapy inside, like while the client is in float. That's pretty exciting to me.
You bring that up, and I know a couple of therapists, and I've been talking to them about VR, and we was talking about it. It's the ease of getting two people in one location, that from somebody that doesn't know VR to somebody that does, and to get them to link up as one. How easy can that be? Because I just did like a off-campus VR thing, and they put the headsets on you, put a gun in your hand, and they take controls, and everybody's in one location.
Right.
It's just that easy. So how easy could it be to get two people to coexist and float without knowing a lot about it?
So the way we do it right now, as the first step, is the therapist actually doesn't need to be in VR. Okay. I'm the client. I go into that space, and the therapist, if they're in the room, then I just talk to them, or they talk to me. And if it's remote, I just put in earbuds and I talk to them, and it's kind of like the voice of God in this space. Like it's
Right.
I talk to an entity, and there's some power to that. So that's how we do it right now. Down the line, and the therapist, by the way, we have an external control app for them, where they can actually control float and control the amount of complexity and the volume and all sorts of
Really?
things.
Okay.
Yeah, externally, which is like really cool, because they kind of get to. So for example, somebody works with a kid, maybe they start with something faster or more distracting, and then they slowly get them into a more kind of quiet state of mind, but they kind of open it up so they can really kind of create the journey that they need for that specific person that they're working with.
Nice. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's cool to see them. We have a lot of data on how they do it. They communicate with us all the time, and so that's a pretty cool thing to see. And by the way, just the human stories, just like a kid, for example, who lost their dad, and they couldn't talk about it, and then with Float, all of a sudden, they were able to talk about it. So like real things, like real human stories that are very moving.
Nice.
So that's how we do it now. Down the line, we plan to have a way for, whether it's for therapy or just a call, just to chat with your friend, to actually do a kind of a multiplayer where you're both in the same space. Maybe you're like this glowing orb, and the other person is like a glowing pyramid or whatever, and you're kind of floating together in that space. And the way I imagine that is like you're in you're like in a hike, right? So I think this how many times in real life do you get to actually speak directly to a person's face? That's not something we do very often. Even in a
Right.
coffee place, usually you kind of sit like this, kind of, diagonally, right?
Right.
And so I think there's really an interesting use case here for people to just go into float and just have a conversation while looking at the nature around them, like you would do in a hike, while experiencing something together, instead of just this kind of intense, like, looking at each other in the face. Not that I'm not enjoying myself.
Right. But
You know what I mean?
VR definitely does a good job at bringing people closer, like workrooms.
Yeah.
As kind of remind me of the Zuck Lex conversation when they had the Kodak avatars. They was kind of not in the same space, but in VR looking at each other. So
yeah, and it's interesting that you're bringing that up, because I think the other thing that float allows as well, or would allow, is you can be in the same space and experience the same thing, but maybe sometimes I need something super fast to kind of get me in the state I need to be in, and
right.
I need something really fast, you need something really slow, the other way around, right? So we can actually choose, like, we can still be in that same, or even see each other as if we're in the same space, but we're in two completely different environments.
Wow, that would be I would love to see that happen. That sounds really difficult to do, but I would love to see something like that happen.
Yeah.
Two different, being in the same space but having two different experiences.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Love to try that as well. We'll get to all these things. Like I said, there's the onion has very many layers for float, and that's why I'm saying we have years of creating this to the point of the thing that we're visualizing.
I said I was going to bring this up to you. How difficult would it be to bring in a track keyboard or a cutout? How would that work in something like float, or could it even work in something like float?
It could. It would. Like, ideally, that's out of my control. But ideally, I would imagine that Meta would actually bring that into the OS as a capability. Like, I think you said, just having the pass through or the track keyboard or whatever it is, you can do it anywhere. Right, because then even on a YouTube video, if that's your preference, right, you can just have your keyboard and work. And I think that's that's a very small step for them. And so instead of each individual app trying to find their own way of doing that, I think that should be the case. By the way, also with keyboards, with a regular keyboard, not the physical one. I think that should be an OS thing rather than each application have their own keyboard part.
Right. They did say that developing for Meta sometimes can be a little bit tricky. I think the Apple Vision Pro, they said it's a lot easier they give you much more freedom and tools to do in their platform than Meta does. But
well, this is Apple's thing, right? This is what they're very, very good at. And I mean, I think there's always going to be this. I think Apple's gonna do Apple, and I think
definitely.
And I think what Meta is going for is the Android or Windows approach, where we're going to be the OS for everything else. And so I expect it to be the same kind of thing that we have everywhere else, where you have the Apple ecosystem and then you have the everything else ecosystem, and that has to be a bit more flexible because you have many different kinds of devices that you have to support.
How do you handle customer comments? Like, being public, you got a broad range of people. You got people saying this and that. How do you take that into consideration, or how do you guys handle that part?
So, great question. First of all, I have to say that we have been blessed with not getting a lot of negative comments, at all. Like,
Cool.
I can probably count them on one hand at this point. We have thousands, and we have the Facebook group, and we have the the Facebook pages, and we have reviews and so on. And like I said, I think I can probably count on one hand the amount of actually kind of like not even nasty, just negative stuff. Most of the
Right.
people appreciate what we're trying to do, and they get it. And maybe
Right.
that's just the kind of users that we attract.
Right.
People who are interested in wellness and kindness and all of that. We did have one sort of quite negative, in-depth review not too long ago, and our response to that, like we were speaking on Slack, the team, somebody posted and it's like, look at this, and we read it and we were like, we all went, you know what? Here's a person who actually took the time. They tried it for real, and this is a good feedback to have. And we, and then I actually reached out to that person and I said,
Nice.
hey, we appreciate your feedback. We actually learned a lot from this, and we get all this positive feedback that is feeling good, but we don't really get to learn anything from that. Here
Right.
we got to learn something. Let's have a chat. And we did have a chat, and it was a good chat. Now he's like, he's a friend. So,
Nice.
yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. I think that's so important. When people comment, you try to get back to them and stuff like that, and you try to listen to, the broad range of comments. I know sometimes it's hard if you get like thousands, but
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys for even taking the time out, to even respond back to a comment or two. You know what I'm saying? It's good.
Yeah, we love talking to our users. They're the most important people. They're the people that we want to serve. So they are the people we want to learn from and listen to and have a chat with. And also, they're great people. Honestly, they're all. Many of them are people with ADHD or the hyper productivity junkies, and people like us.
Right.
In many ways. So. We like being in touch with them.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, what would you say to your community about your float, or just to them in general? What would you say to them right now if they was
I
all
would say,
audience looking at you?
I would say, buckle up. You haven't seen nothing yet. There's so much more to come. As well.
I like that. I like that. Hey, thanks for taking the time out to talk with me. I enjoy your platform. I enjoy the VR thing. Like I said, I worked in it, and it's a great feeling, So for you guys out there, I recommend you guys going to the App Lab store, and we'll leave a link down, and you can try it out for yourself. Float VR, it's here.
Thank you very much for this fun conversation. I really enjoyed it. And thanks for all the videos. I've been kind of looking at them. It's great stuff. And you're talking a lot about productivity, and productivity in VR is the future, in my opinion. So good stuff. Good
all
stuff.
Right. Till next time.
Till next time.
There you go.
Good stuff, man. Thanks.